Hey everyone, number 80 on my 100 greatest songs of all time list is Wise Up by Aimee Mann. Uh, Wise Up is broadly interpreted as a song about reaching a breaking point and achieving a sudden painful moment of self awareness regarding a self created personal crisis. Um, when I really got into films, I was struck by the brilliance of Paul Thomas Anderson as a director. He's my favourite living director. And I think I saw There Will Be Blood first and then I had to go backwards. I think. No, maybe I saw Boogie Nights first. But anyway, Magnolia came out in 1999, I should say. And he credits the making and the creation of the writing around that film to Aimee Mann's music, because he was listening to a lot of Aimee Mann's music at the time, and he decided to go one step further and basically have a lot of her songs in the film and the soundtrack. There's a piece of genius in that film, and I've spoken about it before in other areas, of how he decides to put Wise Up in the middle of the film. And it's in the middle where everybody's reaching their personal crisis and I suppose what they would see as their downfall, and like how will they get back from it. And it features the actors Tom Cruise and Julianne Moore and Philip Seymour Hoffman like singing the song in the middle of the film. It's not musical or anything, but they're just singing along with the song, and it cuts to them, and they're in certain places. And I always thought it was like a mad thing to do in the middle of a film, because it's not a musical. If it was a musical, it'd be a lot different. But it's just that all the performers are singing the song, and they're aware of the song within the film, and they're all in separate places. And I just thought it was amazing. But like, I described the description of that song, everybody's at their lowest and maybe realizing that they need to change. So I just want to read a couple of the lyrics in it. It's not what you thought when you first began it. You got what you want, now you can hardly stand it. Though by now you know it's not going to stop till you wise up. You're sure there's a cure and you have finally found it. You think one drink will shrink you till you're underground and living down, but it's not going to stop till you wise up. Prepare a list of what you want before you sign away the deed, because it's not going to stop till you wise up. The last chorus. No, it's not going to stop till you wise up. No, it's not going to stop, so just give up. And I always thought this, the give up at the end is kind of, it's not throwaway, but the way she sings it is really beautiful. But I wondered if the give up mean give up what is destructive, or just give up because you can't stop what you're doing. And when I was joking with someone the other day actually about, like, they were joking about going out in the pits basically, and then they asked me how long I'd been off drink. I said 18 years. It's actually 17 years this year in June. And I was in a very, very dark place back then, in the sense of I woke up in the morning and I thought, my first thought was like, will I drink today? And you almost had to create excuse to drink, because obviously my body and my mind was telling me like you shouldn't, but somewhere like some craving within me was like, yeah, you should go and drink. And I had a couple of those moments where where you thought, like, when you hit your rock bottom, you have to hit your rock bottom before you can realize whatever that you have to give up. And there was a couple of there's moments where I drank from a can that had like a cigarette butt in it, and I was just like, I had to finish the can, rather, because I put the cigarette butt in the wrong can, and I still went and drank the rest because I didn't want to give up on the drink. And that seemed like a really low point now, looking back. But also, like sitting there having a few drinks and then smoking a bit of weed and like thinking you're gonna have a heart attack, and there's people in the room with you, but you're trying to pretend there's nothing wrong, and you're like, oh, you're really struggling. And I look at when I watch Magnolia now, because I've rewatched it, I think it's a great film, and I see a little bit of myself in the characters, and that song means an awful lot. Then, it means a huge thing about, we've all had to go through things. It doesn't have to be like a substance thing, or there's many things it could be, and we have to get ourselves through it. And it doesn't always seem easy, but when you hit the bottom and you realize, I'm in trouble, like. And I gave up, and 6 days later I had a mental breakdown. But it was probably, no, I won't say. I was going to say the best thing that ever happened to me. Obviously, it wasn't. But it was like, it was funny. I don't know how, if I would have stayed off the alcohol and the cigarettes, if I didn't have the breakdown, when I had the breakdown, so many more things seemed more important than alcohol and cigarettes. And like, I obviously had withdrawals from cigarettes for sure, probably a little bit from alcohol as well, but cigarettes, 100% had withdrawals from cigarettes. And I was going through the breakdown and not really understanding what was happening to me. But I could still just about see something good on the horizon of having managed to get myself away from the drink, and like suicidal ideation, things like that. A lot of people will be able to attest to. It's obviously, it's very difficult, but it's all consuming, and that became at the time, that became such a massive thing that like alcohol and cigarettes seemed such like, so they didn't matter. It didn't make any difference to me then, because things had gotten a lot more serious. And that line at the end where she sings "Give Up," it's like, you could, because you could give up in the sense of like on everything, or you can give up what's causing the problems and the destruction, and you can move forward from there and hopefully find a kind of a route to something else. And I was forced into that, I would say, but like, good things came out of it, and you had to go through a lot of shit to get to that point. But I don't know if that's what Aimee Mann was saying in the song, but that's what I take from it. So it's a beautiful song, and I'm not going to go into the chords and all that, because it seemed like this was a more important thing to bring up in this case than just playing a few chords for the song. But yeah, if you don't know it, actually, Aimee Mann's got some great songs. Oh God, what's the other? "Save Me" is another song from Magnolia that's an amazing song. It could have just as easily, but I just think "Wise Up" as a message is a little bit more, it stands up a bit more for me. So yeah, that's another one. All right, bye.